All right, folks, welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name's Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful, hot state of Utah. Dry. Got some rain the other day. It was good. This is my next installment of Healing Narcissistic Trauma. Today we're going to talk about learning how to laugh at the narcissist. Because when you're not afraid of them, you realize actually that they're kind of silly. um, Quite silly at times, actually. And so I'm going to get into that. I'm going to talk about laughing at the narcissist, learning to laugh at this, learning to laugh. And you might be surprised. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to cover all this for you. But you might be surprised at how effective and healthy this can be for you. And I'm going to talk, again, I'm going to talk about how and why and all that stuff. A little bit of news in my personal and professional life, and maybe on a little bit of a personal level. And this might even be like a video for like my wellness vlog, my wellness video blog. I'm having a fairly major change when it comes to work. I'm going, at least for now, the plan is for me to go back to my private practice. I'm not going to get into the details. I've loved where I've worked. I've loved the people that I've worked under. I've loved the people that I've worked for. I've loved the people that I've worked with. It's been an amazing experience. I'm so grateful for it. Especially during COVID, I was able to enjoy a lot of stability and camaraderie. We just created this like safe haven at work, man. We insulated ourselves from a lot of negativity, and we did it deliberately. And so work was a haven for us, and it was a haven for our patients. And I'm honestly really proud of that. I'm moving on from that. Right now, like I said, the plan is to go back to private practice. Right now, the plan is to create more content as well, put more into my website, my high conflict community website, as well as a couple other things. Create some more courses around high conflict custody and divorce. Create some more content courses on like overcoming your fears, radical and massive transformation type courses and content. My plan is to create a wellness blog too. Usually I just kind of stick to business in a lot of my videos, but I have a lot to say when it comes to like wellness and being well. So, I hope that you will subscribe if you haven't. And hopefully jump on the Scott train, man, and support me in my new endeavors. And frankly, on a personal note, I'm realizing too with this change, like I was stagnant. I became complacent. I wasn't being challenged enough. And I just feel like even though it's hard to say goodbye to this family that I've had. It's time for me to do something that challenges me and helps me grow more. Because I just became complacent and stagnant. And again, the whole COVID thing kind of had a lot to do with that, where it's just like, we don't have a whole lot of choice but to hide and watch. And so, hope you will be along the ride with me. If you're new here, you haven't subscribed, I hope that you will. If you want to ask me a viewer question, scottc at saltcitycounseling.com, or you can put it in the comment section below. I'm not going to do much more housekeeping here, but anyways, hopefully stay tuned. Any support that you can lend, by the way, subscribe to my various things, and even if it looks like I got crap on my lip, by the way, I was just using some chapstick. This place is dry, man. I'm like, what is on your upper lip? Chapstick, lip balm, whatever. Anyways, let's get into this. Let's talk about laughing at the narcissist. So here's what's really important to understand, is that most people who have had some sort of narcissistic trauma or have been at the hands of some sort of narcissistic abuse, they are usually like, they kind of allow the narcissist, the narcissistic relationship, or that situation in general to set the tone for how they feel and how they act, right? And so part of this exercise, part of this particular installment has to do with learning to set your own tone, learning to be in charge of how you feel and how you act and how you approach things. Learn to change your perspective. Do it deliberately. And as I contemplate my new wellness blog too, it's like the more that I really feel like I've really enhanced my therapy skills in the last year and a half, like even more. I feel like I always am. I always feel like I'm growing. But I notice, man, I notice a lot these days that nobody really thinks for themselves. Everybody thinks that they do, and I really believe that most people don't think for themselves. And so I'm just gonna give you a hint. This is not intended to make anybody defensive, by the way. So it's not my intention. So maybe stop, right, and check in with yourself. Do I feel defensive here? Do I feel attacked? Just noticing, right? Mindfulness. You're being aware, creating that awareness is really positive. But what I notice with people is if they experience a lot of fear, right, and if they adjust their behavior and their daily choices according to that fear, then I don't believe that those people actually think for themselves, right? All of our thinking is done for us. I don't have my phone in front of me, or otherwise I'd wave it around as an object lesson. And frankly, I don't want it in front of me because I'm tired of it trying to do all my thinking for me. It's like, relax, I'll think for you, right? But fear is the same way, right? The narcissist wants to do all of your thinking and feeling for you. Tell you how to think, tell you how to feel. And the thing is because they're constantly contradicting themselves, you're in that state of fear. I don't want to pick the wrong thing, right? And again, I talk about this all the time, man. They're very opportunistic this way. That's what they want. They want you in that fear. They're very opportunistic. It causes them to be able to avoid vulnerability. And when you think about it, their behavior is quite silly a lot of the times. This is true for borderline. This is true for borderline personality disorder. And they're so intense that we tend to match their intensity. Yes. You're upset, and so yes, I'm going to be very, very intense as well, right? And you don't have to. Set the tone for your own emotions, okay? And quite frankly, even though they're adults and they make a lot of noise, just like the Wizard of Oz, I use this as a comparison all the time. Narcissistic types, borderline types, they're like the Wizard of Oz. They make a lot of noise, but they're not actually dangerous. They don't have much power whatsoever. They're actually really powerless. And so when you think about their behavior and you look at it from a certain perspective, it's silly. It's like some of the things they do, silly, ridiculous, like laughably ridiculous. Like, okay, you're this upset because I got 2% milk instead of 1% milk and you're having this fit. You're pitching this big of a fit because I bought the wrong milk? Wow, look at you go. Come on, let's see more. Dude, give me a show. Let's see how angry you can get over this. And when you can put it in that context of like, this is funny, you're funny, this is hilarious, and laugh at them, laugh at their behaviors, laugh at their ridiculous, because it is, man, a lot of their behaviors are just silly and flat out ridiculous. That's the honest to God truth, man. And so taking this approach and taking this perspective is going to help break up that fear, help break up that brainwashing. It really will. It almost seems to exercise, right? You not exercise like, look, I'm doing push-ups, but like The Exorcist, it will almost exercise the negativity, that brainwashing, and break it up and get rid of it, right? This particular tool can even potentially be like just what you need to start turning that corner. And so I'm just looking at my notes. I wrote laughter is one of those things that will help enable you to not live in fear. Period. Like, right, if you're super afraid, like, you don't have to do this to their face. I'm not saying do this to their face because I understand a lot of people are afraid of them, but it's just like, okay, right? Like, one of the biggest narcissists that I encountered in my personal life, like, would go around and tell everybody, an expert at everything. I know more about everything than everybody. And why? Because he'd read a book on it. And that's what made him an expert. And that's hilarious. You're hilarious. That's a hilarious thing, right? It's like, well, you're right. I should read a book on crab fishing and then show up on one of those boats and be like, I'm in charge now because I read a book on this. Right? And it's funny. Laugh. Like, that's hilarious. This particular individual, he's a relationship expert. Why? He had read books on it. He was a mental health expert. Why? He had read books on it. He was an expert at starting businesses and making small businesses thrive and grow. Why? Read books on it, right? And that's hilarious, right? But You can laugh at how silly and how mad they get at stupid things. You can laugh at how contradictory they are. You can laugh about how they will say two things in the same sentence that completely contradict each other and they don't even notice. And it's like, and this is going to sound harsh, but it's really just intended to break up that fear. But you can even laugh at just how like detached from reality they might be, right? Like, wow, what is it like to live in that? But laughter will help you set the emotional tone for yourself. Being able to laugh at this and just see the silliness of it, the ridiculousness of it, is going to help you realize, right? Like, oh, yeah, hey. And so the idea here is take charge of your own thoughts and your own emotions. That's really what my new wellness blog is going to be about. I also intend to have time to get my teen therapy YouTube channel going as well. I got lots of cool stuff that I really want to get to and have a hard time to because I have a job. and that job requires me to be dialed into them, right? And by going back to private practice, it will enable me to do a lot of these other projects that I'm really wanting to do. You can support me if you hit that tip jar, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Anyways, that is this week's installment of, here's your homework actually. Get out your notebook. Write down things that they say and do that are hilarious. Like, it's so funny when they do this. It's so funny when they do that. Like, you might be surprised at what a difference it could make for you. And I would love to hear your feedback on that. And tell me if you feel like that's helpful or not. So maybe go do it. Do some journaling. Do some writing on it. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.